I'll need multiple samples of the microbe. As it resides in birds' fecal matter, that's what we'll collect.
Hey everyone, Damiani here, joined by Brad.
Hi.
We're going to be talking about some Star Ocean. Forgot the title for a second. It is called, I was about to say The Last Hope.
The Divine Force? Is
It's the Divine Force.
Yeah.
Sorry, JRPG titles here. So the review embargo is up, but we don't have a review yet. We've been kind of swamped lately. We want to have a video that went up the same day to give you a little bit of like a check-in, kind of like a progress report and how I'm feeling, because I'm the one who's been playing it. You know what I just realized? I didn't show Brad the damn opening video thing.
That's okay.
No, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
The opening cutscene?
Yeah, we can't even show it technically, so it's like specifically like don't show that. So I will say this, Brad. Star Ocean. I've played all of them except for the Blue Sphere, like Game Boy Color, whatever weird one, but all the mainline ones I played.
You played.
Including first time getting to play Star Ocean First Departure R, which came out like 2 years ago.
Yeah, you reviewed that too.
You know, on PS4 and Switch. Maybe some other platforms, I forget, but it was originally a Japanese exclusive.
Okay.
Second Evolution, widely regarded to be the best entry in the series, still hasn't gotten that treatment outside of Japan. We also have, like, I played Till the End of Time, was my first ever Star Ocean game.
That's
Star
like,
Ocean
I think
3.
the first time I really was aware of it.
Whole thing with that, the plot twist in that touted as like one of the biggest plot twists in video games, and I was kind of like, when I got to it. First review is The Last Hope for game trailers. That game was, outside of its battle system, was very questionable. I'll say it looked pretty good.
Sure.
Environments looked pretty good for the time, but didn't really like the character.
No, I played
designs.
some of that and I did not like it.
The VO was trash and the story was very bad. And it hasn't really gotten better since then. That was Star Ocean 4. Star Ocean 5, Faithlessness and Integrity, came out a few years ago. Was touted as trying to address some of the complaints of Star Ocean. Namely, one of them, the length. It is definitely on the shorter side. It's roughly a 20-hour game.
Okay.
And it simplified a lot of things, but had a lot of complaints about it myself. I don't think it really improved upon much of anything. In fact, it was probably even worse than The Last Hope. And now we arrive at the Divine Force.
Right.
And we got to check this out at a preview event right around Tokyo Game Show. And I remember saying, like, I definitely need to play more.
Yeah, of course.
And I thought visually, so okay, let's start with this, like the visuals. I think the environments look pretty good. But I think I still can't go over how characters look. They look like dolls.
Yeah,
I
do.
I don't think they have a good aesthetic, and it's compounded by in the game. The lip sync is absolutely synced to the Japanese dub, so it looks really bad with the English dub. And then their upper body / facial expressions during a lot of cutscenes look robotic. I don't think it's very
stiff.
It's very stiff, and it's very off-putting to me.
Okay.
And it really detracts a lot from like the story beats in the game. I'm not sure do you like how the characters look, or how like they kind of look the same since The Last Hope, in my opinion. They've gone with this kind of visual style.
I've since 4. Well, I played some of 4 and 5. I've quit both of them. I don't really like the character designs, especially in game. I don't like the way the characters look in that universe in game. That's just me. And this game was no exception. They always have weird faces that kind of bother me. I don't know what it is. I guess the doll-like nature of it.
Yeah, I'll give it that. I'll give it that. I did go back and look at the last game. In terms of just a technical level, this is definitely an improvement. Visually.
Yeah, of course.
This is a step up. It did get a little bit more budget here, and it shows, or at least I think it got a little bit more budget. The other thing, because I don't want this to be too negative, I feel like we might get a little negative in this impressions. The voice work of the English dub is very passable.
Okay.
It's not grating. It's not annoying to me. And I think the trailers might have done it a little bit of a disservice, because I think people are getting more of the knee-jerk reaction to some of the character designs, especially like the robot girl Elena. Like her outfit's a little intense, but like, and she's meant to be like a robot voice, so it's kind of like stiff delivery.
Right.
But everyone else, I actually
right?
seeing it in context, I think when it doesn't stand out, bad or good, it means it's getting its job done.
Sure.
And well, that's an improvement because the last two have had really bad. Like Last Hope had some of the worst voice acting in video games. Not the absolute worst, but like it
Not
was
good, yeah.
It was down there. It's also not like the greatest compliment to say like you're passable now.
Yeah,
it's taken how many entries now to get to that level of where this is okay voice work. I don't mind it, but it's not like exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how like if that really like something you were concerned about that really bugs you with like the anime game style voice
So
work.
for me, I always kind of expect Star Ocean to be a little more low budget every time. Mm-hmm. So I personally don't expect anything like that to be like super good. I wish it was, but I don't expect it. And it's hard for me to say without spending a ton of time with it. Maybe it'd be like okay for me for a little bit, but then maybe I just get really sick of it after a while. I don't know.
Oh, kind of like how you were pointing out, like with the Mario movie, everyone calling for to sound more like traditional Mario. Like talk to us
Maybe.
after like 90 minutes. If you
Maybe.
we don't know because we never had that before.
Yeah, like maybe the like I don't know if this is the right term for it, but like the honeymoon phase would wear off pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like so when I played 4, I remember I was like, oh, this is not good, but I like stuck with it for a while. But then it just like kind of like kept building up and building up. So it's hard for me to say that having played a lot.
I think there's just like while it's okay, there's some quirks that come off a little strange to me in some of the like the writing of this game. Like the main character Raymond, the blonde hair guy,
Right.
He mostly seems like level-headed and like very like upbeat and like takes things in stride. But there are a few scenes where he delivers where they're trying to make him a little like kind of sound cool, and those sound like really kind of out of place. It's not too often, but I think they've scaled back some of those like cringe lines that have been like in there, but there's still a handful of them every now and then for like each character where it feels like that's slightly out of character for them, at least like how they've been acting.
Got it.
Besides the voice work, obviously, and besides like the visuals, like I will say, like, sorry to get back to the visuals. Let me back up. The environments. Mm-hmm. I think, as I said, I thought the environments look good, but there are a lot of performance issues.
Oh.
We need to, like, this is one of the biggest negatives
You're playing
about
the
the
PS5
game.
version,
So
right?
I'm playing the PlayStation 5, and I'm playing in performance mode. There is a performance, and there is a fidelity mode. In performance mode, the game does struggle to hit a constant frame rate, especially when you're exploring. And I'm not even just talking about, like, when you use you have this thing called the Duma, that, like, floating orb that lets you use
move fast.
VA gauge to let you do, like rushes or dashes. But, yeah, you could, like, jet across and glide across these, like... I'll give it this. The environments are pretty big. Mm-hmm. Like, some of them are. There are some claustrophobic cave-type environments, but there are a lot of open environments.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter which they are. I've seen, like, stutter and performance issues in both of them. And even when you're just walking around, sometimes, like, in combat, it'll happen as well.
Okay.
So, it does come at a cost. It's not like it's like visually...
This is a cross-gen game too, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not like pushing the needle by any means.
Right.
It's easily the best looking Star Ocean game. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, the frequency of these performance hiccups. Not only that, that traversal mechanic, while cool, there are a lot of freaking bugs around it.
Oh,
like where you land and stuff, like on inclines. Like there's a town. About like maybe 5-6 hours into the game, it's like a cliffside town. Mm-hmm. Looks like something like out of like Holland or something with all the windmills and everything on like a hillside, and then like there's this giant like cliff on like the right side of it. And there's a part where you have to like get these collectibles, these like these purple orbs that are used to power up Duma. You can spend them to upgrade elements of your Duma abilities. And I was going to get them, and they're like on the ledge, and like. I like fell off, like I was walking like flush on the ground. I just like fell off the edge. And another time I used the dash ability to get up there, and I got caught in between a fence and the incline. There wasn't enough flat surface, and it looked like my character was trying to like fall, like that weird thing.
Yeah.
And I couldn't like move, and I'd like spam stuff to like get out of that repetitive animation.
Okay.
I've had it happen at least 8 times.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot.
It happens a lot. So clearly this game needs a little bit more polish.
Sure.
I didn't notice this type of stuff any of the previous ones, but again, none of them were offering this type of traversal mechanic.
Yeah.
Now, it definitely is a positive in how fast you go through zones, and there's backtracking, but like you can either fast travel to quickly get to a spot,
or you can
just zip around. And while zipping around is fun, I'm starting around like the 8-hour mark. I'm asking myself, is there anything more to this? Because there are treasure chests, purple orbs, and these like green sparkling things, which are your items. You auto pick up all this when you get near them, except for chests, you have to like press a button to open them. That's really it. And it's not like a lot of hidden stuff. It's mostly you have a scan ability that will point you in a direction of treasure chest. But otherwise, these open environments, it's I feel like they did this to get you through them faster because there's not a lot to do in them.
Oh, okay.
Which has been a problem of some of these like lower budget JRPGs. Like Tales of games have been dealing with this a little bit as well, where they have like very big environments, but what is there to do besides find a treasure chest and or an enemy to like a bunch of enemies to fight? And I just don't think they've found like a meaningful way to solve these. Where some other games have definitely figured out how to make exploration traversal very interesting, whether it's stakes like in like a FromSoft game where there might be an enemy over here and like it's like a unique situation, and or there's a boss over here, or there's a hidden cave and like it might lead to something. Like there's nothing like that.
Okay,
that's very straightforward.
So you're not really feeling that rewarded for exploring.
It's like basically it's a novel. If you want the review line, it's like it's a novelty that like outstays its welcome after a few hours.
Oh,
now it's more useful in combat.
Yeah,
that your Duma companion and your VA gauge, using it for abilities. That's a whole other thing we're going to get to in a second. But in terms of traversal and exploration, it's nice to go through a zone for the first time. But like I'm just like zerging through them when I have to backtrack. Sometimes you can't use the fast travel. You have to like force to backtrack through a certain area because there's usually a fight waiting for you that they want you to fight. But here's a funny thing. Some towns, you're walking with your new NPC you've met, and they're like, let me walk you over here. And they always put a waymark on your screen, like a white diamond shaped thing that tells you where your objective is, to where to go. You just haul it over there and skip that whole thing. And so dialogue. This was a problem in previous games where banter, not cutscene banter, but out of cutscene banter, like you have to like slow down and listen to it. But it gets cut off if you go too far towards your objective in advance, and they didn't really find a nice, clean way to handle that. So that's still kind of an issue going on there. So if you care about lore and like all the lines being heard, you need to slow down. Like don't dash everywhere. Like actually walk or keep pace at some points.
Got it.
Like RP.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Let's talk about the combat, which is always important to an JRPG, especially. And I remember the combat being okay in some of these games before.
Yes, so I think The Last Hope had a really good battle system.
That was 4, right?
4.
Okay, yeah, I remember that being pretty cool.
I don't. They tried to do a modified version of it in 5, and I don't think it worked out as well. Obviously, I haven't replayed it since I did the review. I rewatched my review just to refresh my memory on it, and I was like, oh yeah. Basically, you want to build up meters, and you're rewarded by doing things correctly. Essentially, like you can only do so many you have so many points to spend for doing your regular actions, but usually by like doing blindside. It's been around forever. Blindside, which is like a perfect sidestep, a perfect dodge. It rewards you and makes you have more resources to spend in combat. In the older ones, it's simply like a sidestep or a dash. How you do it now is you have that VA gauge, courtesy of Duma, which allows you to levitate. So you hold down the R1 button. On PlayStation 5, you hold down the R1 button. You go into like your VA mode. If you hold it down, you're like in a defensive stance. And I haven't actually done this once correctly, but there's supposed to be a guard ability where if you just hold it, you'll reflect back to enemy projectiles and stuff. That hasn't worked because I don't know why. Like maybe the enemies are too small and don't want to target me. But like they have to also be targeting you. But I use it more for offensive and dodging. So what you do is when you hold it and you float up, you let go, you will dash. You will like just dart right at the targeted enemy. And if they're targeting you, like they're looking at you, if you break line of sight by at the right moment, holding right or left to change your trajectory, you will initiate a blindside on them. And you can do this to multiple enemies. Like if you're fighting a mob, you can actually, if they're all targeting you, you can do it to multiple, and that's where it's like really cool. It's like, they basically are stunned, and you'll see like a question mark exclamation above their head. It'll start like filling up to red or depleting down to white, whichever it is, which is like your timer.
Okay.
And while they're in that, they're stunned. You just wail on them. And by doing these successful attacks, you have more resources to spend, so you can do longer combo chains on them as well. Where the difficulty is coming in for me is understanding when you are the timing for doing it. Because there are points where I feel like I'm doing it right, like a lot of like some remedial battles. Especially there's a humanoid boss-like fight with this like creature, this like horned creature that you come across, and they were focusing me the whole time. So whatever character I picked, I somehow had aggro, and their telegraphed attack was pretty clear. And I would use the VA gauge to do like a side dash at the last second, and it would blindside them. And then like basically I was just doing this over and over and kept building up resources and was like able to obliterate this guy. And that felt really good and rewarding. But then there were two other bosses. There's the first boss who's a worm boss. Worms have no eyes, so they actually account for enemies that don't have eyesight. You cannot blindside them.
Right.
But you have a normal dodge button. You can perfect dodge them as well. But you can also use the VA to do like a dash attack, and as I said, also to like reflect back attacks as well. But that worm boss, I felt so like a fish out of water. It was such a struggle for that fight, and everything up to that point. I was playing on so there's Earth, Galaxy, and Universe difficulties. I was playing on Galaxy, the normal difficulty, and I was obliterating everything. And I don't know if you like thought the battles were pretty easy. And
I
think we were playing on Universe or on Galaxy as well on that. Yeah, remedial battles, I'm just like obliterating them. And then I get to this first boss and it obliterates me. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? So I thought maybe I haven't learned this system very well. Second boss fight, like a small human-like character, it goes great. I'm like, I get it now. Later on, I fight like a bird-like boss, which does like cool like fire AoEs, wind AoEs. And those I understand, like dodging them. But like, I couldn't do blindsides on them to save my life. And I even figured out, like, okay, it wasn't attacking my character, so you can switch in real time with the D-pad to any active character.
Which is cool, yeah.
And I switched to the character who was being targeted. And I tried everything I could think of to do, like, a blindside on them, and nothing was working. And I'm like, so I won the fight. I didn't lose. I did one-shot it, technically, but I felt like I was doing something wrong the whole fight. It did have a big attack at one point where Duma, your companion, does speak up and goes, warning, some type of attack, recommend dodge for a blindside. But that window was so short, I couldn't toggle over to the character and then initiate it. Also, you need to have the meter to spend. So if you don't have them, you earn that by taking damage or by attacking. Your combo chain points, you refresh by standing still.
Okay.
So that's how you do that. Now, so that it feels like something is off about that system. Like this is like the big hook.
Yeah, you still have questions about it. You still don't fully grasp it.
And I just earlier, like not too long ago, I unlocked like the limit break attack. Essentially, like every character has this meter that can fill up. When you do it, you hold down a button, you do like a big devastating like attack, which is kind of cool and flashy. The other thing that is really frustrating in the combat is the camera work.
Oh, okay.
There is a lock-on system, but I swear to God, I went through all the options. I can't figure out a way. I just want it when I kill an enemy for it to auto-lock on to the next enemy nearest to me. Or at least hit a button to like just toggle. Like so I kill an enemy, I'm facing a wall. I know there are enemies behind me. No, there is the threat ring around you that will tell you where you are so you can turn. But it feels cumbersome and slow. And eventually, I feel like I have to start facing an enemy, and then it'll show like the diamond over it, which is like that's now your active target. And then you can see a lock on when you hit R3 to lock on. It'll show like another layer around it, which shows like you've been locked on. And I feel it's just too slow and cumbersome. And I just don't think it has very good camera work, and it gets really bad in like cave environments where you're in closed quarters. That's to be expected, but even out in the open world areas,
huge area.
I just don't get it. Like Tales games do that. They do smart select a nearest target for you, and so like if you like you're in the middle of a combo, you kill an enemy, that attack will start tracking at the other one. I will hit a button when I'm facing the wrong way, and it keeps going that wrong way direction. I'm like, oh, this is frustrating. So
okay.
I really wish.
Yeah, you're struggling with just.
I really wish they had
controlling
an option for that, and I've done my I feel like I've done my due diligence. I'm not seeing it yet. So these two issues are kind of like the biggest downer of the combat. for
Sure,
me.
yeah.
Otherwise, each character does have a unique play style. One character doesn't even have any outright offensive attacks. There's a buff
Just
healer.
buff healer.
And when you play as them, you want to get near allies to heal them, and or if you like, oh, this is the person who's like tanking right now, I give him defensive buff. So you like run over, like it's basically running over different party members and giving stuff. You have like a mage who like you to stay back and cast stuff, and then you have like your kind of like your brawlers, and then you have like kind of like speedsters who can like do range attacks, but then get in and do some damage and get out. And I kind of do like that.
Yeah,
I'm liking that. The thing I would like more information on to make it a better experience, where I feel like it's a little bit lacking, is you have to set your abilities into your combo chains.
Okay.
This game has a shit ton of menus and systems. I feel like it's very overwhelming. And I don't think like it does a good enough job of giving you proper explanations and or giving you proper tutorials for some of this stuff.
Okay.
For combos, to be fair, I was technically wrong when, like a day or so when I was thinking about this. A few of your actions that you can put on your combo chains. So you basically have 3 face buttons: square, triangle, and circle. Well, all can be, and you can have up to 3 attacks on each of them. So if you hit square, square, square 3 times, you'll do a combo string. You have 3 unique actions on them.
Yeah,
and then you can do it down hold. And hold will do 1. So each button can have up to 4 actions for a total of 12 active actions at any time. Some of them do say in their description, this is a good opener. So like that should be the first one. Almost every other action I've unlocked says nothing about should they be in the middle, should they be a finisher. And some people might like that mix and match and experimentation. I like a little bit more information to give me a better informed decision.
Okay.
Because I feel like I've just been kind of floundering around, and it's gone, like, again, with remedial enemies, it works just fine. It doesn't really matter what you pick. But on boss fights, that's where I feel like I might be lacking. Now, for like the mage, it's obvious. You have like fire, lightning, like that stuff seems self-explanatory to me. But with some of the melee characters, I would like just a little bit more information, or even just like an autofill, like a recommended thing. I wish there was just like a recommended thing.
Yeah,
it would just help me out a little bit.
Well, so yeah, it seems like there's a lot going on with it. But despite its like flaws you're having with the camera and everything like that, are you enjoying combat overall, or are you just kind of over it now?
I feel a little frustrated. Like I feel like there's more to it, and because I said at one point I thought it clicked. I was like, this is going, and then it like.
Yeah, you still feel like you're missing.
Then
I
came up to news things. It's like it's no longer doing that. I'm now like I've now been shown I don't fully understand it.
Okay.
And at roughly 10 hours in, I'm saying I shouldn't be feeling like this right now.
Okay.
And I do worry I've missed something. But again, in my defense, there's so much thrown at you in terms of like the system. So when you level up, you get skill points, SP. Those can be spent on leveling up each of your individual actions that you put in your combo chain. That's one. You can use it in a skill tree. These like hexagonal like
I remember
shapes,
seeing that.
and it's like all like they're clear cut what they do, but like I'm not sure what build I'm working towards because it feels like each direction's going towards a slightly different build. Mm-hmm. And while I'm on the skill tree, we have a thing on Frame Trap called Sorted Out. I couldn't do it on this Frame Trap because we weren't allowed to talk about it. Sort It Out. Offer goddamn respec in any game with a comprehensive skill tree to let me mess around.
Sure.
There is no ability to respec in this game. Even FromSoft games have ways to let you respec at some point.
I wonder if it'll be something later on, maybe, but
it needs to be patched in.
Okay.
It is literally way too much to ask when I feel like in a character I did make a mistake early on. I put too much into in Magic, and I didn't realize that stat didn't scale with them correctly. I should have been putting it into this other thing. And so in a boss fight, they were getting annihilated very quick. They were the first one to die. And I'm like, oh, like, yikes. I kind of screwed up on this. And like, I can't undo this. This is great. Like, this is really absolutely great that I can't undo that. So you have there's like 100 of these icons that you could like eventually go through. So that's combo actions you can level up with your SP. Skill tree actions you level up SP. Then you have like other passive abilities you can spend SP on.
Okay.
There's like at least 4 different categories of things that SP levels up, and you're having to juggle all these, and I feel like I'm overwhelmed. I'm like kind of sweating it. I'm like,
with multiple
what should I be
characters, too.
spending this on? And for me, where I'm at, I'm just going all skill tree at this point. I'm like, let's just unlock as much as I can in a skill tree, and then we can worry about powering up everything, because I don't know how the stats weigh. Like when I see like a spin attack type thing, it does like leveling up does like +3 more damage. It was doing 70 damage, now it does 73. I'm like, is that really a big deal? Like I don't know, and I honestly I don't really like doing the math in games. So there's a lot of that, and then you have your gear.
Yeah.
There's also a weird thing with the early part of the game. Characters kind of swap in and out of your party without your input due to some story developments in the first like 5-6 hours of the game. And when they get swapped out, they take away
The equipment.
Yeah. Well, they keep their weapon and their chest. You have a weapon, chest piece, and 2 accessories. They take away their accessories. And so I'm like, for the first 5 hours of the game, I was constantly having to re-equip accessories. And I'm like, please stop this. I was like, this sucks. I was like, either let me save a loadout or just ask me if I want to de-equip from people leaving the party. Like by stripping it and having me do it. Sometimes I forgot. I was like, what did I put on this character again? I don't remember. So it was a little bit of a noise, but it hasn't done that since.
Okay.
So it was just like an early game issue. What else was there? Oh, your Duma powers. So you can have like you can like level up like the rush attack to be more potent. You can increase like how long blindside stuns last. You can only have 3 abilities. You have like 6 to choose from, and you can only have 3 equipped at any time. And then you have 2. You have 2 other ones you can equip. One is expand your kind of like scan ring, the radius of it, so you can see further and further in the zone with it to see where treasures are. That one I don't find too particularly useful. The other one is increase how silent you are. It's like called silencer. How much you can sneak up enemies, because that is a thing. Sneaking up on enemies and VA rushing on them to initiate like a sneak attack. You get so many resources at the beginning, and you get an advantage, and that like does like help out. Now, combat looks cool. I'll give it that. It looks very flashy. It is very fast paced. They are throwing, from what I've seen so far, like newer enemies at me. It hasn't been like the enemy variety has been changing up through this like 10 hours of the game. The bosses were very different looking and distinct and had unique mechanics. That's the thing I've been complaining a lot about lately with a lot of games, especially RPGs like Xenoblade. I called out for like I don't like how it is like bosses have like no mechanics to them. They're just very straightforward.
Tank and spank.
These have mechanics. You can't just sit there and wail. And they don't feel like sponges either. Tales of Arise had a lot of mechanics in their boss fights, but they felt like sponges. That was the biggest complaint, is like the bosses just had so much HP. Where this one, it's like, you can't just wail in there. Watch for the hang back, learn some tells, get your attacks in there.
Good.
And so that part of it is definitely satisfying.
Nice. Good.
And for fans of Star Ocean games, this does feel very much like the older style of 1 and 2, brought into like 3D again. Like there's a whole plot line with a disease. It's not a Star Ocean game, but they don't have a disease ravaging something.
Geostigma?
It's their version of the avian flu.
Okay.
And they have a whole section on the benefits of wearing masks. They get into like that kind of like language as well, which is kind of like nice. It feels a little forced and out of place, but like Star Ocean games, I think, do try to lean a little bit more to like some of the sciencey aspects of like, you're aliens on you're technically off-worlder on this planet. You know, you got to be careful about disease and stuff. Like sometimes they can't. Like, it's like Star Trek. Like Star Trek versus Star Wars. One's flashy action. One is we care a little bit about like the science behind it. So I appreciate that. And the towns are kind of like nice looking, but they're really there's side quest. They're like the side quests aren't anything like that too interesting. Although I will say this. Game redeemed. One of the first early side quests is rescuing a cat.
Okay.
For a child, and then the child like pets the cat and everything. You could pet the cat. I was like,
Very
all
good.
right,
Very
all
good.
right.
Very
Can't
good.
hit on this game for having that. There is a mini game. I forget, like Eloa. I forget how you pronounce it. It's like their version of kind of like Triple Trad / Fort Gondor type mini game.
Okay.
Where you collect these pieces, these figures, and they're figures of enemies and historical characters from the Star Ocean series that you place on a board. And they essentially have like abilities and point values. And when you place them down, they will do damage. Like you have a total health on each side. You're basically trying to whittle them down to 0 health.
Okay.
And the more pieces you put, the more it stacks the damage. Also, you can try and surround an opponent's piece, and if you surround them on all 3 sides, or make a whole like barrier around them, like not along the edge, but like if they're placed in a corner, like 2 pieces in a corner, if you place your pieces all around them, you'll knock them out.
Okay.
Like they will be removed from the board. So there is a little bit of that strategy, and then some pieces have a special ability which you can activate that cost MP. Which will do like enhance stuff, do a devastating attack, and you have to like progress up through the ranks. Some NPCs you encounter are too high rank early, so you have to start like I believe a beginner, then you get to like intermediate, and then like advanced, and then there's like ranks of expert. So they do have some kind of like a fun mini game that you like encourages you to go back to other places and play. A little bit confusing at first, but you'll get the hang of it. It's not too terribly complicated. Just a nice thing to throw in there.
Well, I guess my biggest question is, with your 10 hours or so you've been playing, is are you enjoying yourself? Are you looking forward to playing more?
This is the sad thing. Like obviously I've not finished it, so like don't take it as like final judgment yet. But I'm struggling to see what the future really holds for this series. I feel like I don't know what they could possibly do with the remaining port. Like I've looked at the trophies and trying to do the math. I think the game's about like 25 to maybe 30 hours. I think it's longer than the last one.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's like in between 25 to 30 hours. So I just don't know what they could do in the last 20 hours I have left in the game that's really going to change my mind. Obviously, there are characters that they've revealed that have like I haven't gotten yet. That might have like more unique play styles I might find more enjoyable. So like it could maybe there's something in the combat that'll click, soon and it'll feel better, something like that. But I understand the series has its fans, and I definitely appreciate it. Like I've enjoyed I generally enjoy playing this, but I feel like this one might be like where I say this is it. Like if they can't do anything. If they keep doing this style, I just don't think this game isn't for me. I want to scream at the top of my lungs. I don't, whether fair or not. I'm like, just go play Tales of games. I think Tales has done it better. They're not perfect either, by any stretch.
But they're doing it better.
Like, I had such a better time playing Tales of Arise, at least the first 10 hours, than I did with this.
Okay.
And I think Tales series has been going in the right direction, especially with Arise. It's going in a much better direction.
Yeah.
I don't think I just think this game doesn't have the budget. I think it's probably it's lacking the resources.
Yeah,
and I do think Tri-Ace has been capable of making some very good battle systems in the past. I feel like they just need to be paired with someone else to maybe fully realize that their potential. And like disappointing. Like I'm not at the point where I just want to give up on it yet.
Yeah,
but I've been strongly leaning towards I almost kind of just want to drop this game and play there's so many other good games coming out right now. I'm like, this maybe wasn't the best time.
Hard
for
to make
this
time
game.
for it, yeah.
Yeah, this timing for this is really rough for Star Ocean. This is not the best time for it to come out, so it's not doing itself any favors.
Got it.
And obviously I think other people might enjoy this a little bit more. And I'm sure for some people the battle system play clicks a little bit better and they're getting more out of it. There is a harder difficulty as well. You can play on Universe, so if you want even more challenge, it is there for you. I just think it's lacking in a lot of other areas, and just the general lack of polish really holds us back. It's not.
Shame.
Yeah, it's definitely not eclipsing or even approaching Tales of Arise in quality at this point. Soundtrack is pretty good though. I'll say that.
Great.
I actually really like the music in this game. And again, some of the environments, I really just like idling in them. They do look pretty good. Like they're nice to walk around in. Just they just need to work on that performance a little bit. So not horrible, but also not really good. It's just middling at this point. And it could, and I hate to say it, if it keeps up this way, it is going to lean more on the side of not good for me. And coming off of two entries where it's been going downhill, this is not what I wanted to see. I know the trailers and the previews gave some more optimism, but I'm just not at that point where I feel like it's coming around on me.
Yeah. Okay.
So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how you feel as you keep playing.
Yeah.
Things will change.
We'll try and we're still trying to get the review up soon. So hopefully, like you can see like kind of more final impressions there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just want to like get something up at embargo because it's been kind of like crammed right now. But yeah, thank you, Brad, for joining me.
Yeah.
And consider supporting us on Patreon. Help
That's
us
right.
like cover all these the plethora of games. And you think October, the holiday season, is the end of it? Just wait till January, February,
Oh my God.
March of next year. Next Q1 next year is looking
Stacked.
even more stacked than Q4 of this year, which is insane to think of. But yeah, Patreon.com/Easy Allies is how we keep everything going. And even if you don't agree with my opinions, like please, like I'm very open minded. Like
Yeah,
this
I
is
mean,
just-
you're not done with the game. It's still a thing in progress.
and I feel like I've played almost all the entries in the series, and I feel like I have a pretty good understanding. And even if there's more to the battle system, I feel like I'm very justified in my critique of the game is not explaining it very well. This was an issue I had with Xenoblade Chronicles 2. A lot of people
remember
love that
that.
game.
I remember that.
Molotov did an absolutely atrocious job of explaining that battle system. Once you understand it, it's actually it's a very good battle system. But with JRPGs doing a lot of systems, you have to understand your audience and not expect everyone just like understands it from like a text explanation. So they did not. Trice did not do a very good job on that front, unfortunately. So
Got it.
But yeah, if you enjoyed that video, like feel free to comment in below to have your own discussion about this. But also, give us a like, give us a subscribe, ring the dumb bell. I hate all this terminology, but we have to do it. It's the game we have to play. So thank you in any way you support us. And look out for that full review. It should be coming hopefully not too long from now. So stay tuned.
Aren't any ships running? What's the holdup? When are they going to set sail again?
I honestly couldn't tell you. Regular service has been temporarily suspended due to the appearance of the Imperial warships.
What? Temporarily suspended? Isn't there anything you can do?
I can't do much if the ships don't set sail.
Ooh, I got the best idea.